Hello and welcome to the BSR Sports Podcast, from the fans, for the fans. Today, I'm joined by Patrick Leonard. Welcome, Patrick.
All right, mate. How's it going?
All good. Pleasure for you to be here. So, we're going to start a new series. It's going to be called the World Series, and it's going to be focused on sports from around the world. Today, we're focused on a special event which took place at the weekend, UFC 254. Patrick, did you see the fight?
I watched it, mate. I thought it was brilliant. It's a good fight. Khabib, the number one pound for pound, I saw it. He's now. And Gaethje put up a good fight, and it was sad to see Khabib retire.
Yeah, it really was. A lot of people I'm seeing saying that he is the best fighter of all time. Could say that, you may not. He's undefeated, 30-0. It's a real shame with his dad passing away.
Mm.
But he stuck to his word. He promised God, he promised his mum. He said, I'm going to retire after this fight. Nobody knew of it. And it was one of the biggest shocks in sporting history for him to come out and say that. I don't think anybody was expecting it.
Nah.
So for him to do that, it took a lot of guts. But he went out and proved himself. He showed, he put on a performance for his late father. Superb performance, dominant. Gaethje went into the fight, took a bit of a step back, was playing at southpaw, and Khabib just waited for a moment to pounce. As soon as Khabib got Gaethje on that ground, there was no going back. Apparently, Khabib said to Daniel Cormier before the fight, wait to hear this, apparently Khabib said to Daniel Cormier, I respect Gaethje, so I'm not going to knock him out and I'm not going to break his arm in front of his parents.
What?
So,
yeah, nice guy.
did you see Khabib had him in an armbar?
Oh, aye.
Khabib had the chance.
I spoke about his Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in my prediction, my preview. He's brilliant on the ground, so he is. He's so... Once he gets him on the ground, mate, he just smothers him, doesn't he?
He's grown up wrestling with bears, but as I was saying, did you see when he got him into an armbar? He didn't fully cooperate with the armbar, and Gaethje kind of got out of it. But as soon as Gaethje goes on his back, that was it, game over. Because he just swiveled him around and just got him into a leg triangle. And I was quite worried, to be honest with you, because I felt the ref could have called it earlier. I don't know about you.
So Gaethje tapping, and the ref took a few seconds, and then he saw it again. So
Gaethje, he was literally tapping thin air, and you're sitting there like, call it, and it took about 3 to 5 seconds for him to actually finish it. And see, by that time, Gaethje was asleep. You could see he was asleep. But straight after the fight, you seen Khabib just breaking down everything that had been bottled up on the way to the fight. It was really, really sad just to see him let all that emotion out. And the fact that Gaethje, after getting knocked out, put to sleep, first thing that he done was go straight over to Khabib and say a couple of words to him. Say I think he said in the interview after the fight, your father would be proud. Yeah. You've done your father proud. It was a good performance stuff. Well done. The best man won. That's remarkable from Gaethje as well. It shows you fighting doesn't all need to be the way Conor McGregor puts it, with the dirty talking, and I really like that side of sport where you respect your opponent.
That makes the fights more exciting for the fans, and that.
You do. Sometimes you do need to respect your opponent, but then again, it sells the pay-per-views, doesn't it? With your trash talking, so it's getting a mix of it. But I do respect Gaethje. Gaethje 100% does deserve the title shot next.
That's it.
Question is, Khabib's retired now. Who's going to get the title shot against Gaethje? You've got McGregor versus Poirier coming up. That will be in January, wouldn't it? They've changed it from December to January. Then you've also got Tony Ferguson. Gaethje did dominate, and he literally annihilated Tony
Aye,
Ferguson.
brutal.
Bust his face something, but I don't
You've
know about
also
you. I
got
feel
you've also got the former lightweight Bellator champion, Michael Chandler. He just signed for the
Chandler.
UFC. He was reserved for the Khabib fight there, in case anyone like pulled out or something at last minute. So I don't know what the situation is there if he's going to get given a title chance. But I saw a thing they might do like a tournament or something.
Yeah, so the way I would put it is Ferguson deserved the title shot. I don't know what happened with injury and stuff before, and he ended up he didn't get the shot with Khabib. I think was it Khabib that pulled out of that fight, and
He
Ferguson
tried to
did get
make
it
that
out.
fight about 4 or 5 times in different times. Khabib missed weight and things like that, and
Yeah. So
Ferguson injured
that's
him.
not Ferguson's fault. I personally feel that's not Ferguson's fault. So
I think
with
the
that,
last one Ferguson injured himself, like tripping over something.
yeah, with that, I think Ferguson does deserve to get a title shot. People would argue the fact that he did get annihilated off Gaethje, but at the end of the day, he still hasn't got that title shot that he did deserve. So personally, I would say Gaethje v Ferguson number 2 for the title. I don't know about you. What would you say?
I saw Gaethje was saying he would quite like a quick turnaround, so maybe like
5 to 7 weeks.
the start
He
of the
said
year or something.
he said Gaethje came out in the interview after the fight, and he said 5 to 7. He was like, I'm ready to go. 5 to 7 weeks,
He wants to be
and
champion. So.
because he was only put to sleep. He said he's no damage, no problem. So he said he was still fit. He was going to eat healthy, and he was ready to go within 5 to 7 weeks.
Somehow, I think just Conor, he's that much of a draw that I think him and Dana's going to put up a fight for him for the lightweight title. Maybe his fight against Dustin Poirier, maybe that gets made for the vacant belt. But I don't know what's going to happen. You've got Michael Chandler. He was saying that he doesn't think he should just be thrown into a title fight because obviously he's just signed with the UFC. He thinks he deserves that.
He said work his way up the ladder.
Exactly. So I don't know what's going to happen, but you've got the top 5. They could all fight each other. You know what I mean? I think a good idea would be like maybe a 4-man tournament.
Yeah, because I think Conor McGregor, everybody wants that for the pay-per-view. I think Dana would happily have that for the pay-per-view. Does Conor McGregor deserve it? I think obviously he's got Poirier in January and then he wants to fight Manny Pacquiao. So the question is whether McGregor will agree to it or Dana Dana feels he merits a title opportunity after all the carry on over the last 6 months, even with leaking Dana White's text messages. I don't know if that was a statement to get out there or that was trying to get into Dana's head, which I didn't really like. And it's a side of Conor McGregor I don't think a lot of people like, and it's starting to wear off on people now, and a lot of his fans are starting to leave and lose respect for him. Personally, I used to love McGregor, but he's not cutting it for me now. See, with all the dirty talking and the scumbag things that he has done over the years, it really is getting down to the last nerve now. And even with Cowboy, his head's too big for his boots. You look at all the other fighters, and they're fighting 2-3 times a year. And Conor McGregor, he's just mucked everybody out for the last 3 years. It's to the point now I've really just given up mostly. What do you think about Khabib coming out of retirement to fight Georges St-Pierre? Do you think that could be a possibility?
I think it could be a possibility. I think because he finished 29-0, I think you want to make that maybe a round number, so 30-0.
His dad wanted him to finish 30-0. His father said that.
And the fight that his dad wanted for Khabib and Khabib once was a GSP fight, which I think
makes sense, doesn't it?
It does make sense, but GSP's old and
it's a totally different animal now.
I think it is, so I think Khabib would be too much for him and it'd just be a fight for money.
Yeah, it is. It's just a case of whether Khabib wants to. It's Khabib's decision at the end of the day.
He's still young. He's still young.
What a lot of the pundits were saying was they hoped that Khabib's decision wasn't in the heat of the moment, because that would be a scary thing to do. See if he says that and then he goes after a couple of months, I want to get back into it.
I know.
He's promised his mum, he's promised God, obviously, with his religion and stuff. It's a hard thing to do coming out of that now, and he said he's going to stick to his word. We've heard it from a lot of fighters in the past. Will he stick to his word? That's another question. He has, and finishing the pound for pound #1 fighter in the world. Fair play to John Jones. John Jones just said, he came out on Twitter and he said, Khabib, you can have it. I'm all for it. You deserve it. It is a question of, does he deserve the pound for pound fighter?
I'm not. I think he does. When he was active in the UFC, like before he retired, he was the most dominant fighter, like throughout the whole of the UFC. I think for John Jones, it would take another, like, for him to become champion again. You've got a new champion at light heavyweight. I think Jones would have to become champion again and make another few defenses, maybe even move up to heavyweight, something like that. But Khabib totally deserves #1 pound for pound.
Yeah, talking John Jones, we've seen a lot of controversy regarding the style bender, Israel Adesanya. What's your thoughts on that? Obviously, in the last couple of days, you've seen him talking his usual trash, getting into confrontations with John Jones, but we have seen him, he's starting to bulk up now. He's firing into Burgers, karate. He had a full buffet out the other day. Is that a clue to say that he is bulking, to come up to John Jones' level?
Dana's teased it before, and they two, you always see them going at it. They're sort of similar styles. Adesanya, I think he takes his skills from John Jones. He bases his skills off of John Jones. That was his favourite fighter.
Don't think it is anymore.
I think that'd be a good fight. I'd like to see it. It wouldn't. I don't see it. It's not going to be for a belt, but it'd be some fight.
Aye, that is the question, because Adesanya is obviously going to either have to go up or John Jones is going to have to drop down. It would more likely be Adesanya going up, as he said. It would be a very good fight, because you've got the argument of John Jones with the performance enhancing drugs, the PEDs. Does that rule out the equation? Rule him out of the equation that he is the best fighter in the division?
I don't know. There's all that controversy about him, but he's still. I still don't think he's still not been defeated. Like, he lost his belt for the drugs he tested positive for, and then he had to fight DC again. But you saw when he fought DC, he was totally dominant as well, and he's a different animal, John Jones. So I'm a fan of his, and I'd like to see him just on the straight and narrow. It's the same with McGregor. See if they got their act together and just stick to pure fighting. The fans would love it. That's all we want to see.
McGregor's always in shape as well, and going back on it, he's always in shape.
Team training all the time.
And it's just really a waste. And it does come down to the fact we don't know half the stories, and seeing the text messages, you do start to believe, is it actually Dana White that's mucking him about, and it's not McGregor that's the problem with this? Because McGregor, being how big a fighter he is, he wants a main event, whereas Dana White, he was trying to put him in as a replacement. McGregor's like, I'm no replacement. I think we can agree with that. He's not a replacement fighter. He has been out of the game for a while, but I think he's proved himself. Has he proved himself enough for a title fight? That's another topic. So obviously another fight that is coming up this weekend. The Spider, the Legend, Anderson Silva. He's going to be fighting Uriah Hall. How do you think that's going to go?
That's a tough fight. Anderson Silva, it's looking like it could be like his last fight, maybe. And it's quite a tough fight for his last fight. Uriah Hall's a good fighter. He's experienced. He's had some scary knockouts. He had
Aye.
But Anderson Silva is one of the best of all time, so it'd be good to see him get a win.
It will, and it's his maiden voyage. It's his last ever fight, so you really do want to see him getting a win.
Mm-hmm.
He is. I grew up, and my first ever fight that I watched was Anderson Silva.
Mm-hmm.
I think, I don't know what age it was. It must have been about 12, 13. That's the first time I ever watched UFC. It's actually my big brother was watching it, and I seen this guy just doing the most flexible moves ever. Just so confident in the ring, and I was like, "How can you do that in the ring?" And that Anderson Silva was the person that got me into the UFC, and it's absolute madness. So on that behalf, I absolutely love him. He is a great of the sport. He will be easily one of the best when he does retire.
Mm-hmm.
The last couple of fights, you can see he's too old. He's not the same Adesanya. He's not the same fighter that he was, and obviously the beat off Adesanya. Adesanya's coming up. He's getting into his prime, and then Anderson Silva's coming down. He's getting older. He's getting weaker. So the question is now whether Anderson Silva can still have the tricks in the book to pull off his final fight and get a win, or Uriah Hall will just get another monstrous knockout, because that's the two ways it's really going to go.
That's it.
So that's it all covered for UFC. Paddy, massive fight coming up this weekend in boxing. How's it going to go?
Usyk and Chisora. That's a massive fight for the heavyweight division. You've got Usyk, who's only had one fight at heavyweight. It was just a tune-up fight. But you saw he was a undisputed champion at the cruiserweight division. But he's against Derek Chisora, who's had some big knockouts recently. He's coming off a good few wins, and he's looked a different animal coming off that loss against Dillian White. But I could see it going either way. I could see it being Usyk just dancing around him, winning on points. Even that Usyk knocked out Tony Bellew recently as well.
I was going to go into that. So Tony Bellew was actually on Sky Sports yesterday, and he was talking about how Usyk's feet. He's not a powerful fighter. He's not got a big punch in him, but his feet are that fast. He would step in and see as soon as you were to make a move, he would step back out. He was always, Tony Bellew said, he was always a feet away from your foot, and he just ran him into the ground. Bellew said when it got into the 8th round, he said he was knackered, and that's the only reason that he did. Obviously, people are going to make excuses and stuff. It could be that, but I believe him. Bellew said that he was knackered getting into the 8th round. He literally moved him off the ring, and that was the reason behind it. So it can show that you don't need to be all power in fighting. You can be a smart fighter, and you can be fast on your feet, and you can move people around, dance around people, and as you said, maybe he will dance around them and get a result.
I look forward to it, mate. I'm going to give it a watch. You could even see an upset, Derek Chisora maybe getting a big knockout, but anything's possible.
Yeah. So we'll finish off with a wee news roundup. Odell Beckham Jr. for the Cleveland Browns has tore his ACL and will be out for the rest of the season. That's a massive blow, isn't it, Paddy?
I saw that, aye. I think that will be a massive blow for them. He's one of the biggest stars in the NFL alongside your Tom Brady. So I think that'll be a big blow for the Cleveland Browns going into the season.
Yeah, definitely. Lewis Hamilton has overtaken Michael Schumacher and the all-time wins in the Formula 1 after performance in the Portuguese Grand Prix on Sunday. To finish off, Cristiano Ronaldo will be missing Wednesday's crucial tie against Barcelona in the UEFA Champions League. This was a big tie as he was facing up against former rival Lionel Messi, and the sporting world will be gutted from this. Right, so that's all for us this week. Look out for our podcast on Friday night, which will be focusing on football. We're going to be doing a weekly podcast on sports related stuff all around the world. Thank you, Paddy, for joining us.
No bother, mate.
And look forward to next week. Please give it a like, a subscribe, and a share. Thank you very much for joining us, and we'll see you soon. So goodbye from me.
See ya.